Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to deconstruct the whole idea of a product. We're going to get into why some things just feel like they were made exactly for you. I mean, you know that feeling, right? Maybe it's a piece of software that just clicks with your workflow, or, I don't know, a pair of shoes that feels like it was molded to your feet. Well, that perfect fit feeling, it is so not an accident. It's actually the result of a really deliberate, super powerful marketing strategy. You see, companies spend a ton of time and money on research, just digging into our needs, our wants, even our biggest frustrations. They're trying to create something that speaks directly to a very specific group of people. And honestly, the best of the best, they build their entire offering around that deep, deep understanding. Okay, so how exactly do they solve this puzzle? Well, it all starts with the product. Now, in classic marketing, you've probably heard it's one of the 4 Ps, right? But what we're going to see is that it's way more complex than just an item sitting on a shelf. Yeah, this definition seems pretty straightforward, but trust me, the word product is just the tiny tip of the iceberg. The real magic, the stuff that's happening below the surface, is what marketers call the offering, and that's the entire bundle of value you get as a customer. So an offering is the whole shebang. It's made up of tangible parts, things you can actually touch, and intangible parts, which are all about the experience. And getting this distinction, it's absolutely key. And what's really fascinating here is this idea of perishability. I mean, think about it. You can't exactly save a haircut for next week, right? But you can totally store a new pair of shoes in your closet. This makes marketing services a completely unique challenge. You're not selling a thing, you're selling the promise of an experience. This is such a great illustration of the fact that you are almost never just buying the core item. Let's take your smartphone. The phone itself, that's the core product. But all that other stuff, the warranty, the customer support chat, the person who helps you in the store, that's the augmented product. And a lot of the time, that's what creates loyalty. You're not just buying a phone, you're buying a whole support system. Okay, but a fantastic offering needs more than just cool features and great support. It needs an identity, a personality, and that right there is where branding comes in. It's what gives a product its soul. This quote from Simon Sinek just hits the nail on the head when it comes to modern branding. It's not about what the product does. It's about the purpose, the belief, the story behind why the thing even exists in the first place. So here's the crucial point, and it's a big one. As humans, we tend to make our buying decisions based on feelings, on emotion. And then we go and use logic and facts to justify that decision later. The really great brands, they know this. They understand it instinctively, and they tap directly into those feelings. And this brings us to Simon Sinek's famous golden circle. His whole argument is that the most successful, most inspiring companies all communicate from the inside out. They start by telling you why they do what they do. And when they do that, they create this incredibly powerful connection with customers who share those same core values. And I mean, this is the perfect example, right? Apple doesn't just come out and say, hey, we make great computers. Want to buy one? No way. They lead with their why. They say, in everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. The computer, that's just the proof. See the difference? One approach sells an identity, the other just sells a box. That is the unbelievable power of leading with your purpose. All right, so once your product has a soul, a real identity, it needs to find its place in what is, let's be honest, a very, very crowded world. And that's where the strategy of positioning comes into play. I want you to think about it like this. Your customer's mind is like a giant, crowded map filled with different brands. Positioning is the art of claiming one specific, unique piece of real estate on that map. And to pull that off, marketers need a special tool to even see what that landscape looks like. And that tool is called a perceptual map. Just picture a graph, okay? The axes represent the qualities that buyers really care about. The whole goal here is to find a clear, empty space for your product to live, a spot where you're not going head-to-head with a dozen other brands for the exact same customer. So, by plotting all the competitors on a map, like this one for cars, a company can see right away where the opportunities are. The super crowded areas, that's where the competition is fierce. But those empty spaces? That's where a new brand can come in, carve out its own unique territory, and actually thrive. Okay, let's bring all these pieces together. let's look at the full picture of how a simple product really evolves into a massively successful offering. So think about a company like Campbell's. They don't just sell one kind of soup, right? Of course not. They manage a whole portfolio, which we call a product mix. They've got their classic condensed soup line, their chunky soup line, and a bunch of others. Each of those is a product line, a group of related offerings, and each one has its own specific brand and position in the market.
So when it comes right down to it, a successful product is never just an item. It's a complete, well-thought-out, empathetic solution that's designed to deliver real value. It is the full package. It's an offering, it has a brand that gives it a soul, it has a position that gives it a home in your mind, and it's built for a target market that gives it a purpose. And really, thinking about this stuff can totally change the way you look at every single purchase you make from now on. So next time you're out, ask yourself, are you just buying the thing, or are you buying the identity that comes with it? Are you buying the coffee, or are you buying the feeling of that cozy morning ritual? The answer to that question tells you everything you need to know about the incredible power of a well-crafted product.